Anime Impulse was a hot, hot mess, and that's what we're talking about. I'm your brother from another mother, Evil Aniki, and this past weekend I was at Anime Impulse OC. And so, if you guys have been on TikTok at all, you've probably seen all the videos complaining about the line. And let me tell you, it was just as bad as you imagine. I'm going to have more coverage of this in my vlogs when I post them, but they take time to edit, so they'll probably be out later this week or early next week. But stay tuned for those. I filmed a lot of cosplay meetups, so it's going to be cosplay-tacular. I also filmed a bunch of the exhibit hall. I didn't really film any of the performances. I just try to stay away anything. Like, I feel like when I film someone's performance, I'm stealing their content. But that's not the point. Today we're talking about the hot, hot mess that was the line to get into Anime Impulse. Because, first of all, I'm going to share my experience. Okay, so I went both Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday was a cakewalk, but Saturday was pretty messy. Saturday was probably the messiest day of both days. So what happened? I got there early. I came with some friends. We carpooled and we parked in the convention parking lot, and we walked on into the line. The way the Anaheim Convention Center works is it's a giant, it's a giant line basically, and there's a giant hallway that is in the front, and then in the middle there's like a giant there's giant exhibit halls that are disconnected from walls, and so they make you line up for Anime Impulse in one of the halls that are on the side. Basically, the parking garage just connects to that, so I could just walk straight into that line. And I don't know if by doing this, I managed to skip some barcode scanning zone. I don't think anyone in the line area there where I was in had scanned their barcodes either, because I didn't see anyone with wristbands at that point either. But, I got there at 9:30. I think the doors opened a little bit after 10, so they were a little slow, I think. But the line to get in was not that bad from opening. It was fairly fast to get in because they weren't scanning anyone's badges. Like I got in and it was just like, are we not supposed to scan in? Like, did I need to buy a ticket? Like, I bought a ticket. And it was like, but did I really need to buy a ticket? Like if you're just gonna let me in for free, what's going on? And so I was very, very, I was confused on that. And so I got in and I was in I was in the hall, and I had no wristbands, and I was in there for, I think, until like noon or 1, and then my friends had to leave, so I was like, oh, I'll walk out in the hall with you, and I'll walk you guys out. And so I do that, and then security's like, oh, where's your guys' wristbands? And I'm like, what wristband? He's like, well, if you guys have to have a wristband to get inside. I was like, well, they didn't give us one when we came in. He's like, well, if you guys don't have a wristband, you can't get back in. You're gonna have to go through the line again. And I'm like, what? And so we're already in the hallway at this point, and so I walk with my friends to the end of the hall, and then they walk off to their garage. And then I stepped outside because I was like, oh, last time I was here there was food trucks. There was no food trucks. I don't know if it was like the food trucks just didn't make enough money to come, and so they stopped coming. I didn't come last year to Anime Impulse Orange County, but the year before was the last time I was here, and I'll say the line was pretty sloppy back then as well. So I was a little confused. I was like, what's going on? How come there's no food trucks? And I think it's because they opened up a bunch of the shops inside the convention center. I'll be honest, they have a lot of food vendors inside not food vendors, but the convention center has a bunch of food for sale at their like little food stall areas, and they were pretty decently priced. They weren't overpriced, as usual at a convention center, so it wasn't bad. I mean, it was like $14 for a bowl of teriyaki, but like if that was at Anime Expo, it would have been like 20. And the drinks were fairly priced too, not something crazy. I mean, they were pricey, but it wasn't like, but it was like not what I've expected from a lot of conventions so far recently, like the Anaheim Convention, or not the Anaheim, the Los Angeles Convention Center, or even the Pasadena Convention Center would have been way more pricey. But that's besides the point. Now we're talking about the line. So I got in without getting a wristband. So when I went to go back in, because I was outside filming for a while, but I was like, man, I want to go back in and film a little bit more of the inside exhibit hall. So I go back in, and they're guiding people to the hall where the line was in the morning, and then I go over there, and there's like 700 people in this room, and I'm just like, okay, what? And then I see, so basically what happened is, I don't even know how to describe this. It looked like a big sloppy blob of people. And security was messing up with who they were letting in. They were only letting 10 people at a time go to scan their badges to get in. And that was really, really inefficient. And then I guess one of the security guards fucked up and like let a row in that wasn't supposed to, and people complained. And then all the people sort of shifted to like the side. and it became a giant blob as opposed to a line, which was very dangerous. Security then tried to like run down people and be like, this is the line. Please, please stick into a line. But they were only doing it partially, and they were really just not trying. And it was very dangerous. I could have easily seen someone get trampled. It looked like I honestly thought someone was going to get trampled when that happened because people were screaming and like yelling inside the line. And again, you'll see some of this in my vlog. I filmed a little bit of this when it happened, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Um, but I was in that room for maybe 5 minutes, and I'm just like, "Yeah," like because I even went to go get in line. I was like, "Oh, how bad can the wait be?" I mean, this morning I was in within like 10 minutes of the doors opening, right? So maybe it's not that bad. No, I was in there for 5 minutes. I didn't move an inch, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. So I just left that room and I walked over. So basically, each hall has a different number on it, or not number, it has a different letter. So there's D, C, uh, B, and A, and that B, outside of B, they have a bunch of registration desks, right? And you could just walk up to them and like get your wristbands there. And so I did that, and it took me less than 5 minutes to do that. And I was just like, really, this is like, why are they making people wait? I guarantee you, people waited in that hall for the wristbands for hours and hours. And yeah, like they could have just walked over within 5 minutes and gotten a wristband at the registration booth, which at some points didn't even have lines at some of the like some of the tellers to get wristbands. So the security was just fucking up so bad. Security was on one. There was like one big security guard who was just constantly yelling at people the whole convention, and whoever that guy is, he was like fucking on his like he was the one who told me I needed a badge or a wristband to get back into. So yeah, I went to this registration desk. I got my wristbands within 5 minutes, and yeah, here's one of them. I already cut the other one up. I don't know where I put it. It's over there somewhere. But they had one for Saturday, one for Sunday, and they gave you both of them at the same time, which was nice because that means the next day I could just come and not have to worry about that. I will say the issue with this is, as you can see right now, is it's intact, right? So I didn't do that with my day one, but with my day two, since they give you the wristbands and they don't put them on you, you can just sort of make it so it's like tight enough to put on, and then tight enough to take off as well. So right, like I can just slide this off, and I could just pass this around to whoever I wanted. And this is probably the worst idea I've seen from an Anime Impulse in a while. They used to do stamps to get back in, and I think people didn't like that because the stamps would wear off because it's a very hot. I mean, it's a summer con, right? So it's very hot out. I do think this is probably the way to go, but at the same time, uh, you could just share your badge at that point. Like you don't need to even have a badge. Like what? I also managed to get one when I went up to the registration. A lot of people didn't get these, but I was able to get the actual badge. And you'll notice something about this is, first of all, not everyone got this, right? And they did not give me a lanyard either. So I brought this from home. I attached this myself. So I got this when I got my wristbands. And the big kicker with this is on Sunday, I brought this with the lanyard because I was like, oh, I want to feel in the spirit. And people were like, man, you got a press pass? You got a vendor badge? Like, because this looks exactly like the vendor and press badges, except for on those they have a little bar at the bottom that's purple that says vendor or whatever. And yeah, so a lot of booths thought I was press and thought I was another vendor and were asking me about that. And some, like, even the vitamin water booth let me cut in line because they thought I was a vendor. And I was just like, yeah, no, it's just what they give people. I guess they ran out or they just didn't care to give them out to people. Because I also think it's because they don't give any lanyards, right? So they were giving the badges out, but they had no lanyards. And so I brought my own lanyard on day two because I just wanted to show off. They they gave me this for a reason, right? So it's like I just wanted to wear it. I like wearing these at cons. I didn't end up taking any pictures with it, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I was just kind of like, what's like I'll just wear it, and so people thought I was a vendor, and I was like, that's pretty funny. But that's not the end of the issues with the line. I will say that there was more issues with the line even on day two. A lot of the security on day two just gave up. They stopped caring. I will say there was no form of bag check. There was no form of prop check. Considering that there's a lot of people who were cosplaying with like a lot of weapons, like with knives and with like a lot of Call of Duty people, like Call of Duty style cosplayers with weapons and stuff. It was really crazy to me that they didn't have a weapons check or a prop check to get in. Security just completely gave up on day two. They just did not care. Um, at certain points through the day, because basically the hall, the exhibit halls that were having Anime Impulse and the Collectors Expo and the K Play Fest, they have security guards at doors throughout the hallway that you can walk through, and you can show your wristband to get in at any point or any location. And at some point in the day, like some of the security guards just didn't care. They just, just come on, they don't care. If someone looked like they weren't a weeb and they were just trying to get in, they would put them away. But if someone was like decked out in like anime gear, they'd be like, just come on in. They don't care, because that's the thing with Anaheim is that there's a lot of normies around. So like a lot of normies were like trying to walk up and get in, and just like, come on, man, you're not supposed to be here. Go pay for a wristband, normie. Which I think is kind of funny. I'm sure a lot more people got in for free. I've heard that this convention has been one of the easiest ones to sneak into and is super, super ghostable. And it stands true. Stands true. And I will say, I saw a lot of other things I'm not going to talk about, because I don't need to, it's just no need to bring them up. I think one of the biggest flaws for this event is that the hallway area inside the convention center, you're able to hang out in there without having a badge because it's not inside the convention area space. Like it's not part of the halls. They did block off all the upstairs areas, which I thought was kind of a bummer. A lot of photographers love going up to the upstairs areas to shoot, and I was like, man, that's kind of a bummer that they cut those off. But I mean, I understand they probably didn't want people hanging out up there like en masse. Which kind of would have been nice if they were open, because that would have made more space available on the lower grounds for people to hang out. And a lot of people were hanging out inside the hallways to begin with, because it was so hot out that people were just going in there. Like especially on Saturday, I was like going in and out just constantly because of the heat. I filmed a lot of cosplay meetups. And I'll have videos on it, but I don't even remember all the ones I filmed. On Sunday, I know I did Nikkei, and I did a little bit of K-pop Demon Hunters, and then uh, the Uma Musume. I did those three meetups. I think I might have done another one. I don't remember. And then on Saturday, I think I honestly don't remember. My brain was so fried at the end of Saturday. I know I did Love in Deep Space, and that's pretty much all I can remember. I think I might have done a few more, but I don't remember. I think there was a ZZZ. I think there was a ZZZ. I don't remember. I was honestly brain fried by the end of Saturday by how hot it was. The cosplay meetup spot, they call it the fountain, but for some reason the water fountain aspect of the water fountain was not on, and so it was just a crazy hot slab of concrete. And normally the water fountain, last time I was there, the water fountain was on, and it was beautiful, and like you could get all these beautiful water shots with the photographers. And since there's no water, there was no beautiful water shots, and I was just like, come on, what's going on with this? Like what? And even then, if you just had the water fountain on all day, it would have made for the area not being like, I don't know, the concrete was like 100 degrees, and it's just like you're expecting people to sit and kneel on concrete that's like 100 degrees. You could have fried an egg on that concrete. I don't know what they were thinking. They could have moved. They could have had someone come out, like an official, come out and move the cosplay meetup zone to a shaded area, because there's a whole bunch of shaded area. They could have just moved it to a different location, and it would have been so much better. But they didn't do that. They had no officials came out to look at the cosplay meetups section at all, either days, and it was just like, come on. And then on Sunday, for the Nikkei meetup, they decided to, like, the host decided to move it to a shaded area. But I mean, no, none of the other meetups decided to move. And I was just like, come on, you could move. Like it's so hot out, man. But yeah, that was the mess of Anime Impulse Orange County. I'm sure there's a lot more horror stories going on. I saw a lot of crazy stuff going on my reels and stuff. But I just want to talk about the line stuff, because the line stuff really pissed me off, especially with the wristbands. From my perspective, the wristband was a bullshit move this year. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will be having my vlogs for Anime Impulse come out soon, and some cosplayer montages as well. That is it for today. Bye-bye.